Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD Indian News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next hour. Hamas returns 2 more hostage bodies to Israel, out of which 1 body identified. Egyptian FM calls for second phase of ceasefire talks. No Kings protests erupt across US as thousands rally against Trump administration's policies. Demonstrations also in Canada and Europe. Pakistan and Afghanistan agree to immediate ceasefire at Doha mediated talks after deadly cross-border clashes. In a crucial showdown at Women's World Cup, India aimed to bounce back after 2 consecutive defeats, while England eyes semi-final berth at Indore. And the holy city of Ayodhya gears up to celebrate the grand Deepotsav on the banks of Saryu River, marking the homecoming of Lord Ram. Israel confirmed on Sunday that Ronan Angel from Niroz, killed on October 7, 2023 and held in Gaza, was among the 2 bodies returned on Saturday. Israel received the remains of 2 hostages from Gaza via the Red Cross. The bodies, transferred late Friday by Hamas, are undergoing forensic identification. This handover brings the total deceased hostages returned to 12 out of 28 agreed upon in last week's US brokered deal. Hamas claims it has exhausted accessible sites but needs specialized equipment to recover the rest amid Gaza's rubble-strewn ruins. Israeli officials, however, say the group holds more remains and is delaying to evade disarmament. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned on Saturday that the conflict is not over until Hamas fully disarms and all hostages are returned. Families mourn amid hope and fury, with vigils lighting up Tel Aviv. Mediators urged patience, estimating weeks for full recovery, but public pressure mounts for phase 2, which involves permanent truce and governance overhaul. Meanwhile, Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati called for the start of the second phase of ceasefire talks in Gaza and for sufficient humanitarian aid into Gaza. Speaking at a press conference in Cairo following talks with Maldives Foreign Minister Abdullah Khalil, Abdelati noted that the mediators have successfully resolved the conflict between Israel and Hamas, and it is now time to look ahead. He expressed hope that all parties would start negotiations for the second phase of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza. He also stressed the importance of making urgent efforts to ensure that aid supplies can reach the Gaza Strip without obstruction. Hamas rejected a statement from the US State Department in which it cited credible reports indicating the Palestinian militant group would imminently violate the ceasefire deal with Israel. The department did not specify the nature of the alleged violations. Hamas said such allegations were false. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office announced that the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt will remain closed until further notice. The decision hinges on Hamas fully complying with ceasefire terms, particularly handing over the remains of all 28 deceased hostages. Only 12 have been returned so far, including 2 more late Saturday via the Red Cross. This comes after the Palestinian embassy in Cairo announced the crossing's planned reopenings for Gazans returning from Egypt, but Israel refuted it swiftly, citing security and truce integrity. The US brokered ceasefire mandates increased aid flows and reconstruction. 8 trucks queue on Egypt's side, but entries rerouted through Israeli-controlled Kerem Shalom, averaging 560 tons daily. Qatar's foreign ministry announced on Sunday that Afghanistan and Pakistan have agreed on an immediate ceasefire following high-level talks in Doha. Mediated by Qatar and Turkey, the Saturday negotiations led by Pakistan's Defence Minister Khwaja Asif and Afghanistan's Mullah Muhammad Yaqub aim to end a week of deadly clashes along the 2,600-kilometer border. The violence, triggered by Islamabad's demands for Kabul to curb cross-border militants, killed over 50 and wounded hundreds, including civilians. A 48-hour truce extended Friday held despite alleged Pakistani airstrikes in Paktika province, which Kabul decried as violations. Both sides pledged follow-up meetings to sustain the ceasefire, establish verification mechanisms and foster lasting peace. All right, and as far as the US is concerned, millions of people took to the streets across the United States on Saturday in No Kings marches opposing President Trump, with demonstrations unfolding in more than 2,500 cities across all 50 states and several European capitals as well. Protesters in Washington, D.C. gathered near the National Mall to protest against Trump's policies. "This is what democracy looks like," chanted thousands near the US Capitol, where the federal government was shut down for a third week amid a legislative deadlock. The rally in New York City's iconic Times Square drew thousands of people as the rally began on Saturday. The streets and the subway entrances were densely packed with people holding up signs with slogans like "Democracy, not monarchy." In Chicago, demonstrators filled the streets as Donald Trump's administration asked the U.S. Supreme Court on Friday to allow his deployment of National Guard troops to Illinois as the Republican president moves to dispatch military personnel to a growing number of Democratic-led locals and expand the use of the armed forces for domestic purposes. Protesters spanning all age groups took to the streets in Seattle for No Kings rallies, denouncing what they view as authoritarian tendencies and unbridled corruption of President Trump. Protesters also rallied in Atlanta, denouncing Trump with a No Kings message amid accusations of authoritarianism and threats to democracy. Crowds also packed the streets of Los Angeles as part of the No Kings rallies. Protesters said they fear the deployment of troops and policy rollbacks mark a deeper erosion of civil liberties. Prominent Democrats, including Senator Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, as well as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, joined protests in several cities, framing the day's marches as a defense of democracy and civil liberties.
In the year 2025, in this dangerous moment in American history, our message is exactly the same. No, President Trump, we don't want you or any other king to rule us. Thank you very much, but we will maintain our democratic form of society. We will not move toward authoritarianism in America. We, the people, will rule. We rejected the divine right of kings in the 1770s. We will not accept the divine right of oligarchs today.
As cities across the U.S. host No Kings rallies, anti-Trump demonstrators also gathered near the U.S. consulate in Toronto on Saturday for the No Tyrants protests. Some 300 protesters held signs and dressed up in costumes as they spoke out against what participants view as President Donald Trump's autocratic tendencies and anti-democratic actions. In Germany, protesters gathered in Berlin on Saturday to participate in a No Kings event opposing U.S. President Donald Trump's policies. The demonstration, part of a broader global mobilization, featured attendees holding signs, wearing costumes and waving flags. Berlin participants emphasized the international significance of the protests. All right, to know more on this and to discuss about it, we are being joined by our correspondent Akshay Dongre, who's joining us live from New Delhi, and also we've been joined by Professor Harshvardhan Pant, Vice President, Observer Research Foundation, is joining me live from Greater Noida. Welcome both gentlemen on DD India News Hour. First, I would like to go to you, Akshay. People are out on the streets across the United States. They are protesting against President Trump. What is the actual reason behind these protests?
piece of reasons. It's not just one reason that people have come out on the road to protest as far as President Trump and his policies are concerned. And these policies include, the immigration policy, his deployment of national guards, the tariffs that he has been implementing, and the kind of prices that are rising for different commodities that were, exported to the U.S. by countries like India and other countries as well. The kind of statements that he is making, the kind of speeches that he has made, and the image that he has created as far as by acting not like a president, not like a democratically elected president, but like an autocratic leader, like a despot. Because even in the government shutdown, we have seen that the focus of Trump administration has been to first of all cut maximum amount of federal funding to the Democrat-ruled states. So he also said that it's a good opportunity to remove. Get rid of dead wood, to remove excess people that we have, taking in and who have been part of the government and the governance. So the kind of speeches that he has been making, the kind of, the fickle-mindedness that he has been showing, it doesn't look like a president, more of like a king or a ruler that is not elected by the people. So, that has, in along with the foreign policies and the kind of people that he has been taking in, the kind of ignoring of the demands by the people, especially when it comes to the Epstein list and other kind of promises that they had made, and turning back on the people as far as these promises are concerned, have now culminated into people coming out on the streets and protesting against the policies of the Trump administration. Back to you, Siddharth.
Definitely, Akshay, stay with us. Professor Pant, people are out on streets. They are protesting against Trump's policies. People there are saying that we, the people, will rule and we will not allow authoritarianism. What signs are these protests giving?
I think, this has been building up for quite some time now. And in fact, Mr. Trump himself is a manifestation of this wider polarization in America. Has gone to an extreme. And we have seen Mr. Trump's approval ratings falling dramatically. In fact, he's at his lowest ebb at this point. But it is also fair to say that, look, America is as divided as it has ever been. So the protests are there, but there is also Mr. Trump's base that remains strongly with him despite all the problems that he's creating for the US. And that means that a lot of this political contestation will continue to shape America for the foreseeable future, and we are not going to see an easy outcome out of these political contestations. In fact, if you would have noticed, the conservatives, the Republicans, for example, have strongly said that look, we don't care about these rallies. They are hate America rallies. They have been called by the Republicans and Mr. Trump's base. So clearly, I think on the one hand, there is a growing anxiety about the trajectory that America is taking, its institutional collapse, the kind of authoritarianism that Mr. Trump is building by gradually taking power away from the states, by gradually impinging on state rights, which is as you would know, one of the foundational principles of America. The federal structure of the US is very, very strong. Now to push national guards there, to push national military there is a sign of remarkable outreach by the White House, and I think that is challenging the fundamentals of American Constitution, and that's why you see the Constitution being at the heart of these debates, where people are saying that look, we are worried that Constitution is being trampled upon, and it won't take us much longer to go from here to an autocracy. So these are indeed dangerous times, but also very, very polarized times, which Mr. Trump has unleashed on the US.
Okay, sir, stay with us. Akshay, has there been any response from the Trump administration yet?
Well, we have seen that consistent protests and, be it in the universities of the US, like the Columbia University and other universities, and there have been other protests as well as far as the policies of the Trump administration are concerned, and they have always been downplayed by the Trump administration. In fact, even the kind of statements that are being made, you can clearly make out the entitlement that the Trump administration is living with. Especially President Trump of the US, after losing his last election, we saw the kind of Capitol Hill protests that took place. Trump was not willing to accept his defeat. He said he always maintained that the mandate has been stolen from him. So that was the kind of entitlement we saw where Trump couldn't take any defeat and he couldn't take no for an answer. And even right now, the kind of protests that we are seeing are being labeled as left-wing protests, are labeled as conspiracies, and the administration refuses to listen and ignores the kind of demands that people are making. That is perhaps the reason why what we are seeing is going to continue as well in future, because no lessons are being learned, especially as far as these kind of protests are concerned in the US, major towns, and these
Got
are
it.
likely to intensify as the crisis that is there of the government shutdown, where the Trump administration again refuses to listen to the other side, the opposition, especially when you talk about the minority leaders there, who are the Democrat leaders who are there in different states, who are in Senate, who are in Congress, and the kind of demands that they are making about healthcare and other kind of social security schemes that Donald Trump and his administration sees as a waste of money. Also, one major point that has been talked about by these protesters is about the fact that there is a fear that the kind of limit there is on the US presidency, that is 2 terms, that has been questioned again and again by the Trump administrations many a times. MAGA, the entire MAGA team have called for another term for Donald Trump in the future. So and kind of sweeping changes that we are seeing that are being attempted and even challenged to the judiciary there in the US.
All right, Akshay, we leave with that. Thank you so much, Akshay Dongre. We still have with us Professor Harshvardhan Pant. Professor Pant, now we were just discussing it. People were also seen holding the placards and on which it was written, "The democracy is under attack." What made them say this in your assessment? I mean, is there just one thing or there are multiple things?
I think there are multiple aspects to this, but certainly there is a broader worry in the system that Mr. Trump is demolishing the checks and balances that have been there in the American system for since the coming into being of modern America. And I think the political system in America has always thrived on this checks and balance approach. Now it seems that Mr. Trump is moving ahead and dismantling that checks and balance architecture. So gradually the state rights are being impinged upon. Gradually, the judiciary's rights are being impinged upon, and of course, the executive is completely callous in terms of the kind of people they are appointing, the firings that are going on of key personnel in the government, and in the name of reducing the government expenditure and reducing the state. So I think broadly there is a trend where American institutions are facing an all-round assault by an administration determined to create a new framework, a political framework, and this, I think, for a lot of Democrats, particularly is challenging, but also for those who believe in the fairness of the American system. And I think that is why when you have Mr. Trump doing business with the world leaders on his terms, where it is largely about who enriches him more rather than what is best in the interest of the US. I think those questions are being raised, and those questions are gradually making people fear for the future of democracy in the US. That is, I think, at the heart of this confrontation. And this confrontation is only going to increase because Mr. Trump, he thrives on this opposition. He thrives on this idea that I have polarized America. He thrives on this sense that I am berating people. I think one of his responses from his administration has been to put out a picture of him as a monarch. Just to irritate people, that look, you are protesting, you are saying this is a no king's day or no king's rally, and just to provoke them, an image of Mr. Trump as a monarch. So I think all around there is a sense that this is coming to a point where the two sides, the polarized environment in the US has become so extreme that the two sides are not talking to each other in a civil manner. And this is what Mr. Trump thrives on. This is what brought him to office twice. And I don't think any mood to relent. And I think so that is why we are going to see an intensification of this challenge for the US, and because it will happen in the US, it will reverberate across the world.
Definitely. Professor Pant, I also want to draw your attention towards the US government shutdown. The shutdown is now in its third week, and looking at the current situation, it seems like that it will become the longest. We are seeing the furloughs and the firings. Do you think that this is something which is making people more angry, and that's the reason why they are coming out on streets and protesting and calling Trump a king?
Absolutely, because it is impacting people's lives on a daily basis. It is impacting education, healthcare. It is impacting day-to-day business of so many ordinary Americans who rely on basic support from the federal government. And I think now, and see, Mr. Trump's approach to this and his administration's approach to this is that this is an opportunity to fire people. This is an opportunity to fire all those people in the name of the shutdown, but largely along ideological lines. So people will be fired because, of course, the argument would be that we don't have any resources to support you, but they'll be fired along ideological lines so that you gradually consolidate executive power under a political banner rather than under an administrative banner. And I think for Mr. Trump, this is an opportunity that he's using to his advantage, and he's also in some ways showing to his base, because everything now for him is about his MAGA base. This is an opportunity for him to show to his base that, look, I am not relenting under pressure. I am not one of those that the Democrats can push around. I've taken a line, and unless those conditions are fulfilled, I'm not going to go back, even if it means great turbulence, great damage to American institutions. But I will use this to pursue my own ideological agenda, which then will further, make him popular even further among the MAGA base. So I think largely this helps him politically, and that is why you are seeing how this reaction of people coming out on the streets, as you rightly said, it is a reaction to that their daily lives are being upended, and Mr. Trump is hardly bothered because that is not his political constituency.
See, the ultimate solution would be for both Democrats and Republicans to sit across the table and negotiate, but that isn't happening right now. Why aren't both parties coming to terms?
Because I think, particularly for Mr. Trump, that's not really the way he functions.
Because it's ultimately about the people of America.
Absolutely, but that's what you would think, that ideally, people on both sides of the aisle would be interested in. Both Democrats and Republicans would be interested in getting things done. But I think what we are now witnessing in the American system, and I think this also goes back to his first term, Mr. Trump's first term, and how he governed. We are witnessing this desire to placate the base rather than the center of American politics. So politics is being done on the extremes, on the margins of the American society, not at the center, which used to be the ground on which most presidents used to work. That you come to the center as the president, you have an opportunity to bring both the lawmakers from both Republicans and Democrats together. Now here is Mr. Trump. He's saying that, no, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in my agenda because it makes me popular with my base. Let us also remember that he has nothing else to show. The economy is going down. Unemployment is rising, inflation is rising, the economic numbers are not very good, and that's why he's so unpopular. And so the only thing he can show that he's sticking up to his base's idealism, that his ideological agenda is being carried forward, and that will continue to make him popular among his base. So that's the kind of politics he's doing, which makes it virtually impossible for any constructive negotiation to take place. I'm sure, after a few weeks, something or the other will be worked out. But by that time, Mr. Trump, that margin of time that Mr. Trump has, he will show that he has pushed back and he is not relenting, because that's what makes his base happy. So I think the politics in America has changed considerably, and that means that more and more obstructions, more and more delays, less of deal making, and more of partisanship is going to be the norm, both in the US Congress and the way Mr. Trump will shape and is already shaping existing institutions, whether in the executive or in the judiciary.
But certainly the Americans would be hoping that this shutdown ends really, really soon. Also, there has been no response from the Trump administration on the protests yet. What does it show according to you?
I think it shows that they are not bothered much, because for them, as I think they have articulated, some of his supporters have articulated, that this is, these are all America haters. This is the left liberal establishment that has come out on the streets, that have nothing to do with real America, that has nothing to do with middle America, that has nothing to do with the real challenges that people face. They are more worried about me rather than what I'm doing for the country. So I think there are many ways in which he will milk this. Again, not interested in cultivating, the American center. His interest lies in cultivating his base, and a lot of these rallies are happening, and the people are coming out in cities, in which are largely Democrat.
And the protests are also happening in Canada and in parts of Europe as well.
Yes, but that he doesn't care about.
So very quickly, sir, what is the ultimate solution for these No Kings protests? Will there be?
I think they will intensify, because we have seen the first one happened in July. This is the second one. And I think gradually we will see more of these protests happen, because people are being left out of the system, especially those on the left.
Okay. All right. Professor Harshvardhan Pant, thank you so much for joining in on DD India News Hour. Much appreciated. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant repairs are underway. We'll tell you more about it. And Pope Leo XIV will canonize or officially declare 7 saints on Sunday.
Faster, smarter, better. That's often the promise that comes with modern technology, but all of it comes at a risk.
To deal with this kind of mismatch, we have created a master plan based on population projections up to 2055.
The main reason for looking for dry areas is both an efficiency reason and an avoidance of corrosion.
We decided that this cannot go on forever. Something needs to be done. And we also were very certain that only technology option will be the best option, because human intervention has several limitations.
The big advantage is you don't have to go back to the start of the chain like mining iron ore.
Eisenerzes anfangen, sondern
You can reuse materials that have already been processed.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi announced on X that repairs on the damaged off-site power lines to Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant commenced on Saturday following local ceasefire zones established by Russian and Ukrainian forces. The 4-week outage since September 23rd has relied on diesel generators, with no safety lapses reported as reactor coolant temperatures remain stable. The complex plan is expected to take a week. Both nations confirmed cooperation emphasizing nuclear security. Ukraine's energy minister stressed reconnection to Ukraine's grid to avert incidents. Moscow claims control while Russia builds alternative lines to its network. The plant's 6 reactors, once powering 1/5 of Ukraine's electricity, remain shut amid mutual accusations of sabotage. And Bolivia will choose between 2 right-wing figures in presidential elections on Sunday. Right-wing former President Jorge Tuto Quiroga and center-right ex-mayor Rodrigo Paz go head-to-head in Sunday's runoff, which brings the curtain down on 2 decades of socialist rule launched by coca farmers Evo Morales in 2005. The new president will take office on 8th of November. Rodrigo Paz was the surprise victor in first round of voting, despite registering less than 10% in early polling. He carried more than 32% of the votes in August 17 general election, while his rival Quiroga came in second place with nearly 27% of the vote. Neither met the threshold to win the presidency outright, which would have required winning 50% of the vote or 40% with a 10-point margin over the nearest competitor. And Australia's Labor government defended its $1.62 billion agreement with Nauru to deport hundreds of non-citizens with criminal records over 30 years, as per Home Affairs Minister's announcement on Sunday. The deal, signed in September, grants deportees 30-year work visas in Nauru, a Pacific nation of 12,000. Human Rights Watch has condemned the plan, citing past deaths from medical neglect and suicide among asylum seekers sent there. Nauru locals voice mixed sentiments about integrating deportees. The policy revives criticism of Australia dumping refugees on small islands with no appeal process for denied visas, sparking human rights debates. US President Donald Trump announced Saturday that 2 suspected drug traffickers from a US military strike on a fentanyl-laden drug-carrying submarine in the Caribbean are being repatriated to Ecuador and Colombia for prosecution after the attack killed 2 others. The Thursday drone strike targeted a semi-submersible vessel on a narco-trafficking route near Venezuela, which Trump claimed held enough drugs to kill 25,000 Americans. Colombian President Gustavo Petro confirmed receipt of national on X social media platform, while Ecuador's government expressed unawareness of plans but welcomed cooperation. The Pentagon released black and white strike footage Saturday amid a US military buildup in the Caribbean. 6,500 troops, destroyers, F-35s and a nuclear sub, escalating tensions with Venezuela's Maduro, who decried sovereignty violations. And Japan's Liberal Democratic Party and the right-leaning Japan Innovation Party have agreed to form a coalition government. Kyodo News reported, bolstering LDP leader Sanae Takaichi's bid to become the country's first female prime minister. The pact includes Ishin's support for Takaichi, in Tuesday's parliamentary vote, though no initial cabinet posts for Ishin. The alliance follows Komeito's abrupt exit from 26-year LDP coalition last week, triggered by scandals and election losses. The LDP pledges to pursue zero consumption tax on food and ban corporate donations, aligning with the Ishin's reform agenda. Opposition Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan, rebuffed by Ishin, nominated Yoshihiko Noda as its PM candidate, vowing to challenge the bloc. Markets rallied 1.2% on stability hopes, but critics decry the shift towards hawkish policies on security and constitutional reform. Takaichi eyes swift confirmation amid global trade tensions. And moving on to Bangladesh now, the global mobility of Bangladeshi passport holders has taken major hit. The 2025 Global Passport Rankings places Bangladesh near the bottom. According to Henley and Panthers, Bangladesh now ranks 100th out of 106 countries, its lowest position yet. Tighter visa restrictions, increased deportations, and allegations of visa misuse have led many nations to revoke visa on arrival privileges. Even traditional travel hotspots like Thailand, Malaysia, and the Maldives are turning Bangladeshi tourists away. Experts blame illegal migration and fraudulent travel practices for the passport's declining credibility on the global stage. Pope Leo XIV will canonize or officially declare 7 saints on Sunday in St. Peter's Square on World Mission Day, including Papua New Guinea's first Saint Peter Totrot, a Cateist killed during World War II. Others include Armenian Bishop Ignacio Maloyan, martyred in 1915, Venezuela's Doctor of the Poor Jose Gregorio Hernandez, and Bartolo Longo, founder of Pompey's Rosary Shrine. 3 nuns, Maria Troncati, Vincenza Poloni, and Maria Rendiles Martinez, dedicated to the sick and poor, completes the list. This marks the US Pope's second canonization since May, following Carlo Acutis and Pier Giorgio Frassati last month. And let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Afghanistan has launched the polio vaccination drive for the country's eastern provinces. The polio campaign began in Afghanistan's eastern provinces of Nuristan, Kunar and Laghman, targeting children under 5 with injectable and oral doses. Portugal's parliament has passed a bill banning face veils in public spaces, targeting garments like burqas and niqabs worn by some Muslim women. The bill was introduced by the far-right Chega party and supported by several major political groups. Masfort in the Emirate of Ajman hosted race 2 of the Emirates Villages Run series on Sunday, which brings together runners of all ages and abilities under the Year of Communities events, promoting wellness, unity and heritage. The initiative aims to promote healthy lifestyles and encourage wider community participation in sports. The British Museum held its first fundraising ball, dubbed by some as London's answer to New York's Met Gala, on Saturday. The event was themed pink and was attended by many celebrities, artists and prominent figures. Mexico City's streets turned into a chilling scene on Saturday as thousands of zombie enthusiasts took part in the annual zombie walk, showcasing ghoulish costumes and detailed makeup. The zombie walk initially began in Sacramento, California in 2001 and has since spread to cities globally. India's Chandrayaan-2 orbiter made history on Saturday with its Chandra's Atmospheric Composition Explorer-2 instrument, capturing the first ever observation of a coronal mass ejection impacting the moon's exosphere on May 10, 2024. ISRO reported a surge in day-side lunar exosphere pressure, with neutral atom density rising over tenfold, confirming theoretical models. The moon's fragile surface-bound exosphere, lacking a magnetic shield, is highly sensitive to solar wind and coronal mass ejections, which liberate surface atoms. This milestone offers insights into lunar space, weather and challenges for future lunar bases, as extreme solar events could temporarily alter the environment. The holy relics of Lord Buddha will return to India after their week-long exposition in Elista, in the capital of the Republic of Kalmykia in Russia. The Indian delegation, led by Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha, will bring back the holy relics of Lord Buddha on Sunday. The relics, originally enshrined at the National Museum in New Delhi, was ferried to Russia in a special Indian Air Force aircraft and reached Elista on October 11. As part of the exposition, it was later temporarily enshrined in the main Buddhist monastery in Elista, known as the Gaden Shedup Chor Koiling Monastery, also called the Golden Abode of Shakyamuni Buddha. The historic exposition, the first of its kind in the Russian Republic, is a testament to the deep civilizational bonds between India and Russia. It revives the enduring legacy of the 19th Kushok Bakula Rinpoche, the revered Buddhist monk and diplomat from Ladakh, who was instrumental in reviving Buddhism in Mongolia and reigniting interest in the Buddha Dharma in Russian regions like Kalmykia, Buryatia and Tuva.
आने के बाद ये विश्वास और दृढ़ हुआ है कि कलमिनिया के लोगों में भगवान बुद्ध को लेकर के बड़ी श्रद्धा है। और सुबह स्टेट अफेयर के साथ मीटिंग में मुझे जानकारी मिली कि हर पांचवा नागरिक यहाँ का वो होली रिलिक्स को देखने गया है। इस प्रांत में विशेष रूप से भगवान बुद्ध को लेकर के और भारत को लेकर के लोगों के मन में जो आदर भाव है वो निश्चित रूप से सराहनीय, और भारत सरकार ने बहुत सोच समझ करके एक कदम उठाए। इससे आने वाले दिनों में भारत, कलमिनिया और रूस के संबंध और प्रगाढ़ होंगे।
The holy city of Ayodhya glows with divine fervor as Deepotsav 2025 preparations are at peak, aiming for a Guinness record with over 2.6 million diyas across 56 banks of River Saryu. Themed Ayodhya, City of Light and Devotion, the city dazzles with LED displays and lamp-shaped illuminations along the Rampath, Janmabhoomi Path and Hanuman Garib Marg. Guided by Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, 33,000 volunteers will craft a radiant spectacle with an 80,000 diya rangoli and virtual diya lighting via the Divya Ayodhya app. Last year's 25 lakh diyas lit the holy city, while this year's glow aims to further elevate faith, culture and tourism, drawing millions. A major attraction this year will be a 32 feet tall Pushpak Viman at Ram Ki Pairi, showcasing scenes from the Ramayana and giving visitors a vivid experience of the epic. Earlier on Saturday, the Kartavya Path in the national capital Delhi was adorned with 155,000 earthen lamps and drones lit up the sky in Ramayana-themed laser show on Saturday as part of Delhi's first ever Deepotsav event to mark the Festival of Lights. The event unfolded with cultural performances, Ram Katha storytelling sessions and a breathtaking drone show that illuminated the night sky, captivating thousands in attendance. Due to rainfall, the work of crafting and decorating the effigies of Narakasura continued across the state. The celebration of Narakasura defeat is organized only in the state of Goa. The effigies are now ready and will be open to the public for viewing. To avoid traffic congestion, traffic police will be deployed at multiple points throughout the night. Diwali will be celebrated on Monday with the burning of Narakasura's effigy. Markets are bustling with people shopping for Diwali. And water sprinklers deployed at the India Gate to maintain the pollution levels in Delhi. Water sprinkling is a common measure used to suppress dust and particulate matter suspended in the air. Teams were seen operating water tankers around the India Gate area in an attempt to improve air quality. Authorities to roll out more pollution control steps if conditions worsen. In a hopeful sign of peace, 10 tribal youths, including 2 women from the previously affected Mohla Manpur Ambagar Chowki district, have passed the Staff Selection Commission and Chhattisgarh Police Constable exams. This is the first time youth from this area have achieved such success in both the physical and written tests. This breakthrough signals a victory not just for the candidates but for the entire region, demonstrating a dramatic shift from a mindset of militancy to one of mainstream opportunity. The successful candidates were honored at the tactical headquarters of the 27th Battalion of the Indo-Tibetan Border Police. The candidates' academic achievements are directly linked to the ITBP's relentless and precise anti-Naxal operations. Let's look at the other stories making news. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, in partnership with the World Health Organization, has announced a global call for abstracts. They are looking for powerful and scalable examples of how artificial intelligence is being used in health systems. Selected entries will be invited to write a chapter for the case book on AI in health, which will showcase real-world use cases from countries across the global south. India's Force Assam Rifles seized a large consignment comprising 90 bags of poppy seeds and 120 bags of areca nuts in Champhai, Mizoram. The Assam Rifle estimated value of the seized goods is approximately 99 lakh rupees, and the contraband was handed over to the Customs Preventive Force. Delhi's Labour Minister Kapil Mishra celebrated Diwali with construction workers at a National Buildings Construction Cooperation Limited site in Netaji Nagar. The initiative aimed to share the festival's joy with the city's labourers, who are the backbone of its infrastructure development. India's longest-running film celebrates 30 years, a Bollywood romance so beloved that fans know it simply by its acronym DDLJ. Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge has been running daily at Mumbai's Maratha Mandir Theatre since its debut on October 20th, 1995. And still to come on DD India News Hour. The Indian Army's 43 Army Goodwill schools in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are nurturing future generations.
Geopolitics and trade deals, economic challenges amid development, hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and time now for sport. And after 2 losses, the Indian women's cricket team are in a tricky position in the ongoing ICC Women's ODI World Cup 2025. With 2 wins and 2 losses in 4 games, the upcoming clash against a strong England side is a must-win for the women in blue to keep their semi-final hopes alive. The team needs to get back to winning ways, and a victory in this game will be a huge morale booster. Here's more.
In what could be a crucial encounter with a decisive power of steering India into the semi-final of the ongoing Women's Cricket World Cup, Team India is now all set to face Team England at Indore's Holkar Stadium on the eve of Diwali in the ODI format. Team England remains unbeaten so far, with one match being abandoned due to rain, whereas Team India started on a good note, beating Sri Lanka and then Pakistan, but eventually lost to South Africa and then Australia in the league stage encounters so far.
हम लोग 2 मैच हारे ज़रूर हैं, लेकिन हम लोगों का मोरल काफ़ी अच्छा है, क्योंकि 2 मैच हम लोगों ने स्टार्टिंग के काफ़ी अच्छे गए थे. तो हम लोग ऑलवेज़ पॉजिटिव माइंडसेट से जाते हैं और हमेशा पॉजिटिव जो भी हमने एज अ टीम किया हुआ होता है उसके बारे में ज़्यादा फोकस करते हैं.
If we look at the head-to-head, India women and England women played 129 international matches across all formats, out of which India women won 50 matches against England women, whereas England won 66 out of 129 matches. In the ODI format, India and England have played 79 matches, out of which India won 36 and England secured victory in 41 matches, with 2 ending in no result. The high-voltage clash between India and England is now all set to take place at the iconic Holkar Stadium situated in Indore, which has the potential of turning out to be a high-scoring game. The Holkar Stadium is known for its flat pitch surface that allows for high-scoring matches at the venue. Batters enjoy batting on a surface with even bounce, a fast outfield and shorter boundaries, which makes it good for scoring some quick runs. While Team England boasts a formidable unit led by Nat Skiver-Brunt, Sophie Ecclestone and Charlie Dean, on the other hand, Team India's Smriti Mandhana, Deepti Sharma and Sneh Rana can really prove to be the guns to rely on under big match pressure, as batting deep remains the key to unlock a semi-final spot. The top run scorer for India women in the ICC Women's World Cup 2025 is Pratika Rawal, with 180 runs to her name, and she is just 18 runs away from reaching 1,000 runs in Women's ODI. The top wicket taker for India women in the ICC Women's World Cup 2025 is Deepti Sharma, with 9 scalps under her belt, is just a wicket away from creating a record of 150 wickets mark in ODI format and become the second Indian bowler to do so.
In run-up to the semi-final spot, this match becomes really crucial for Team India, because it is not only about defeating Team England but also about securing a spot in the semi-finals of the ongoing Women's Cricket World Cup. Whether Team India will add that 6th bowling option and how the batting and the bowling unit are going to perform and roar specifically against Team England at this particular pitch remains to be seen. We'll get you all the latest news updates, stats and facts straight from ground zero. With camera person Ashish, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Indore.
Indian cricket fans gear up for this crucial match against England. They hope for India's win.
I'm very excited. I came all the way from Bhopal with my kids, and we hope that India win this match and keep our hope alive for the finals. And I wish all the best to Indian women team to make us proud by winning this World Cup for us. Hip hip hooray to India and all the best.
I'm supporting India team. I wish India team will win ICC World Cup Champion Trophy. Cheer for India team. Hip hip hooray.
And DD India's Deepika Mehto joins us from Indore. Hi Deepika, we just saw the fans' reaction, how excited they were, and they were hoping that India will bounce back this time around. How do you assess this game, Deepika, as India look to bounce back in this one?
Chances are now really high, because now we have the playing 11 of Team India and the 6th bowling option has been added, as Renuka Singh has come in instead in place of Jemima Rodriguez. That was the main question surrounding Team India, hovering on the performance of Team India, starting from the South Africa match that continued in the Australian match as well, but going ahead into the match against England, which is also a very crucial encounter, because it is more about the semi-finals that India is eyeing upon. There they have made one much needed change, bringing in Renuka Singh Thakur in today's encounter, which was much needed. And yesterday also we heard it in the presser of Deepti Sharma that she said she's very optimistic, and in the break that Team India got after playing against Australia, they have done done their homework well. So now that we have the toss result as well, England is batting first at this batter-friendly pitch, which means that however India has not won the toss in either of the games so far in the league stage. But this day is very crucial because today is the eve of Diwali and Team India is really optimistic to give a positive result for the Indian cricket fans to celebrate Diwali in a much better way, Siddharth.
Definitely, Deepika. Any information on the wicket there?
The pitch is really flat here at the Holkar Cricket Stadium, which means it's a batter-friendly pitch and a high-scoring game is expected, just like we had in Vizag. However, again, Team India was not able to win that match despite scoring a very great run score there, but there the sixth bowling option was the question. But again, a high scoring game, a flat pitch, batters friendly pitch, and a very good environment here because the temperatures are also going to hover somewhere between 29 degrees Celsius from 3 p.m. onwards, and it will go down, dip down to 22 degrees Celsius till 11 p.m., which means that it's going to be a full bloom game today against Team England at the Holkar Cricket Stadium. And let's see how India is going to exploit their opportunities that they have in hand, and they are going to expose the weaknesses of Team England because bowling is a concern for Team England as well. Siddharth.
Deepika, you've been covering this tournament thoroughly. What strategy would Team India adopt today? Would it be an aggressive one or would it be a defensive one?
Aggressive has always been the approach, especially when we talk about team who've been the world champions, like it was in the previous encounter as well. Such was the approach against Australia, who are the 7-time World Cup winners, and now England also happens to be the 4-time World Cup winners. Here you've got very good players like Heather Knight, Eccleston is there, and then the other players who are hitting centuries, back-to-back centuries in this particular game as well, which shows their A game somewhere. But again, when we talk about teams and their respective performances, their bowling was exposed. England's bowling was exposed against their game against Pakistan. So this is the option that India has in hand to expose their weakness. And when we talk about the strategy, aggressive is the approach, of course, they are going on with, but they also have to look up to their batting as well as bowling department, because when we saw in one of the game when the top three fired, but then in the other game the below three, going down the batting order, they did not perform, and the vice versa performance came out in the other match. So here a balanced approach is very much required for Team India, for which the team is very much optimistic, and so are the coaches. We saw that how the players were practicing in the practice nets also yesterday, and talking about the balanced approach, they are working towards this, and the much needed change is there because Renuka Thakur has now come in. So let's see with this particular strategy, with this particular approach, how Team India is going to pose their game against Team England. Siddharth.
That remains to be seen, and let's hope Team India come out with flying colours today. We leave it there, Deepika. Thank you so much. Moving on, KL Rahul revived the Indian innings after visitors made poor start in the rain-marred first one-day match against Australia in Perth. Rahul scored quick-fire 38 runs as India notched up 136 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in the stipulated 26 overs. Earlier, the visitors lost 4 wickets before 50 runs on the board after Australian skipper Mitch Marsh won the toss and opted to field. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, captain Shubman Gill and Shreyas Iyer got out cheaply. Kohli, featuring in his first international match in more than 7 months, fell for a duck. The match was reduced to 26 over per side due to several rain interruptions. India's all-rounder Nitish Kumar Reddy earned his maiden ODI cap from Rohit Sharma. Meanwhile, Australia also gave ODI debut caps to batters Matt Renshaw and Mitchell Owen. And DD Narayan Singh joins us. Hi Narayan. Not the start certainly we wanted. People had high hopes from the Roko combination. They were certainly hoping that Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli will do wonders. You know, they are coming to play ODI match in Australia. But what went wrong?
Siddharth, if you take a look, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, last time they played in the Champions League finals against the New Zealand that India won, and Rohit Sharma was man of the match in that particular final. So it's a gap of 7 months and you are not playing any international cricket, and suddenly you are coming and playing at one of the fastest pitches in the world, that at Waka, and really it's difficult for any batter in the world to play against one of the mighty, we can say aggressive bowlers like Australia. They have the way Mitchell Stark is there, Josh Hazlewood is there. Really difficult. It was difficult to play them, but one thing India missed to stay there for at least 5 and 10 overs. If they would have done this trick, definitely the situation would be different for the India also altogether. And the way we saw Akshar Patel played a fantastic knock of 31 runs, and after that we saw KL Rahul also playing a fantastic knock. If KL Rahul has played what he did, he stayed there. After that he played his shot, and that's why he was able to convert that thing into a good score, respectable score, and help India to set a target of 137 runs. So most importantly, I want to mention that the way we can't say that after a long time Rohit and Virat are coming. So it's really difficult, but all in all, the most important thing here is that the way they played here is, we can say that they also need to introspect, because in such condition we know they are the veterans of the game, the kind of performance they have. If you take a look, their record against Australia, Virat Kohli has scored more than 2,400 runs against Australia with an average of around 54, and same figures we can say for the Rohit Sharma too, scoring more than 2,500 runs. The average is stupendous, 57, but with a single match we can't judge them, because we know that they are the veterans of the game, and definitely 2 more matches are there.
All right, Narayan, thank you so much for your analysis. The Indian Army's 43 Army Goodwill schools in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are nurturing future generations, as highlighted in a recent ex-post of the Indian Army. These schools, established since 1998, educate nearly 15,000 students, focusing on remote areas. Recent updates show expanded infrastructure, including science labs and sports facilities, and initiatives like robotics clubs. The schools also support special needs children with programs like Baramulla's Dagar Parivar School.
In the remotest corners of the country, some of our citizens face tough challenges and are not yet fortunate enough to enjoy the fruits of progress. The Indian Army understands their hopes, dreams, and aspirations, and as an integral part of the community, shares both their joys and their challenges. Here, where equal opportunity and quality education can seem like a distant dream, we are building bridges to a brighter tomorrow. Army Goodwill schools are not just schools. They are a promise of a better future in the farthest corners of the nation. The Indian Army builds and maintains infrastructure and provides modern facilities at these schools so that our children receive a high-quality education as the rest of the nation, ensuring no child is left behind.
सबसे पहले तो हम इंडियन आर्मी के बहुत शुक्रगुजार हैं। ये नॉर्थ कश्मीर का पहला स्कूल है जो इन बच्चों के लिए बनाया गया।
This is the step of the Indian Army that they have initiated in such a remote area that it gives us that opportunity.
From providing books in their hands to modern labs to experiment, each step is an investment in the future of India. In these nurseries of the future, knowledge is shaped with discipline, dreams are nurtured with values, and the leaders of tomorrow are born. For the Indian Army, victory is not just on the battlefield, but in the smiles on the faces of these children. Every achievement here is a promise kept, a promise to the nation. Army Goodwill Schools, shaping futures, strengthening the nation.
That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.